Today we're going to talk about replacing the fan housing on a Magnesium. Generally speaking, the reason why you would have to replace a fan housing on a Magnesium is they clogged it, they overheated the fan housing, which expanded the plastic, and so now the head doesn't lay down. Or you turn it on and it's just screaming loud. Typically they've sucked up something hard that's chipped the fan housing, and that's caused a problem. So to replace the fan housing, fairly simple. We're going to take off the bottom plate. We'll let you know that you do need a nut driver, set of pliers, needle on those pliers, and a new fan housing. When I work, I try to leave all my parts out so that I can easily access them. I'm going to take my brush roll out. On the side, we're going to use a needle of those pliers to open the fan housing. On the side here, you've got a lock and an unlock. To unlock, we're going to rotate it to the unlock position, and then this piece comes off, and our belt comes off. Then we take this off, and now we have to remove the wheel. Here on the side, there are little clips. You just clip on both sides and then pull this up. Now we can remove the motor. We'll undo the 5 screws in the bottom. Got our side plate and our top motor cover. Inside, this is the PCB board. This is your sensor. Between the two, this is what controls the vacuum shutting itself off when it's not, when it gets jammed or sucks something else up. We've got to take in the air duct. Take that out. Pull the fan out. On the back side, we're going to remove the top part of the vacuum. So we unscrew this, place our hand here, and gently twist until it comes out. So now we have the vacuum in 2 separate pieces. This will then come out the side. So you get your base plate, all your wires and motor, everything's coming off. Now this is, when a vacuum is, when you have to replace this because it's broken, this will be really hard to turn. So we need to replace the fan housing. We have to remove the nut on the inside. So we're going to take our pliers, hold one end, and then here. Now the difference on a vacuum is it's going to be the opposite thread. So normally it's righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. On the fan housing, it's just the opposite. So now we've separated the two. Got a little washer, it's important you have to have on. The filter you have to have on. There's your motor. If you need to replace the motor, you start with the motor. You've got, on your PCB board, you've got 2 wires that connect to the PCB board that come to the bottom of the motor. So now that we've got it all taken apart, let's put it back together. The motor itself has to have a felt to keep the dirt out from the inside of the motor. And it's really important to have this washer. If you don't have this washer, your fan housing is going to be too tight and it won't rotate on you. So that goes in. Then you're going to put your fan housing on, squeezes in, and you've got another washer inside. You'll take the nut and righty-tighty, lefty-loosey should go on. I'm not getting this to go.
Keep going.
So we've got the, put this back over here, and we're going to tighten it. Oops, and I went the wrong direction. So you'll tighten it until it's snug, but you don't want to clamp it down, otherwise it puts too much pressure on the fan housing and it's not going to go back in. Okay, now we've got to insert the motor back into the machine. You've got two wires going down. You're going to pull them both so they're on the inside, right where the copper is, and they're not going to be exposed out here. Then we're going to take it and we're going to gently work it into the hole on the side of the machine. Now you've got your wires here, and on the side you've got the ability to rotate the motor. And we're going to rotate it. We don't want any wires exposed. We don't want to see any of the white wire up here. If so, then it once again will prevent the head of the vacuum from sitting down. Now that we have that in, we're going to take this piece. Remember, we've got the clip on the one side, clip on the other. Stick one side in, and you'll see right here you've got a notch there and a notch there. Those notches need to go into the fan, into these little holes on the side of your fan. So we're going to stick that in, and what I like to do is rotate my motor. Until it's nice and snug. So now it's snug here, and we're on there. You can put your wheel back on now if you'd like. The wheel has grooves on it, so it only sits one way. It sits flat on these sides. So that slides in. Your belt guard goes on. And you can put your belt on. Put your clip on, take your needle nose pliers, turn it the opposite way so it was unlocked. We turn it back down to lock, and now the motor's back in place, and this goes on freely.
I thought that was funny though when he told me that.
Now we have to replace
I don't like it either.
our air intake.
Okay, well, I promise we're working hard. Okay, cool. Bye-bye.
That's in. Whenever you're using a power tool on these types of machines, you want to have it to where you've got the least amount of torque possible so that you don't over tighten your screws and squeeze and break anything that's going to happen, any parts of the machine. Now those are on. Now your PCB board, which is what this is, goes into these two slots. And your sensor, there's a little hole right here. This goes into your sensor. Put your top motor housing on. Top of the vacuum on. Turn it over. Okay, we're going to put our brush roll back in. So put the belt over the brush, then take your get two smooth sides and a rounded side. Your smooth side has to go front and back. You just want to rotate it in or rock it into the housing, and then stick your other side on. And now you make sure it rotates freely. Put your bottom plate on. If you've watched the other videos, know that you don't want to over tighten any of these screws. You use too much pressure and it'll break that sole plate. Now we're going to put the vacuum base back onto the machine. Rotate it into the hole. You've got a little rubber gasket here. Got to make sure that's all the way in. Pull this in. Squeeze it down nice and tight. Now, one last thing you're going to want to do, so the bag is all loose, we want to take and rotate that bag back so it sits so it's nice and snug onto the machine. And that's it. If you have any questions, give me a call.